So, if you've ever been in pigeon pose and you notice your jaw is clenching, suddenly you're not able to breathe, and this wave of emotion just washes over you, your body is trying to tell you something. Today, I'm going to show you exactly what to do at the edge of a stretch and how to kind of release the stored tension instead of layering more tension on top of it. I'm Sushmita, but you can call me Sushi. And since COVID, I think I've taught like 5,500 classes or something like that, where I've helped women with low self esteem, anxiety, feeling this sense of just like dysregulation with their emotions. And I've helped them gain control of their emotions through the practice of Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga, which is in some ways just a masculine practice, but it helps us because it gives us the structure and a container for our minds so that our feminine can just be soft and easy. If you're one of them, there is a link for that in the description below after you watch this video, because I'm about to break down why you've been trying to like figure out if you're going too far, if you're not pushing enough, and what to do at the edge of a stretch. So let's dive right in. So, if you're anything like me, your whole life you've been rewarded for your achievements, for being this type A go getter that gets things done. And you're probably like white knuckling your way through Warrior 2, forcing your way into postures, trying to be good at yoga. And somehow, some way, that same attitude doesn't work with that yoga practice. And even though you don't like the way that you look, you don't feel the sense of accomplishment, you know that one day if you keep going, if you put in more effort and you just keep trying, you're going to get it. But at the same time, when you do that, when you go to a yoga class and the teacher is just like, oh yeah, just surrender, just let it go, be easy, find the ease in the shape, you're just like low-key irritated because you know you're not pushing yourself enough, because you know you could be doing more. And at the same time, when you're not doing that, you know, you're like wasting time and it feels like such an unproductive way to spend your evening. You're never really finding that edge, you're never really pushing yourself, but at the same time, you don't know what to do at the edge of the stretch. So that's what this video is going to be about, and I'm going to give you like some practical protocols that you can do at the edge of the stretch to kind of sense into, should you be pushing more or should you be staying within your comfort zone? And I always get this question, that's why I made this video. But either way, I can tell you this for free, that you're probably missing the point of the stretch because you're not sure what to look for at the edge of the stretch. And it's got nothing to do with like how naturally flexible you are or how loose your hamstrings are on any given day. When your throat tightens, when you're clenching your jaw, when you experience this inexplicable like trembling feeling, you're not just muscle fatigued. You're not just like at the edge of your stretch. You're actually encountering vulnerability. And when you encounter this kind of vulnerability, when you're in pigeon pose, you'll notice for so long you've just been this expert at like piling on exotic experiences onto whatever you're feeling, like distracting yourself, doing other things. And that suppression, that just pushing it down or like piling funner things on top of it has led to this point where you're in a stretch and your mind has nothing better to do, and it just brings up those memories, it brings up that stored pain, it brings up like whatever you've managed to successfully suppress to just get things done. And if you do this right, if you follow this technique correctly, you'll know how to kind of create a safe container for that emotion to come up, for that stuff to come up, and allow it to wash through you like a wave so that you go on after your practice feeling lighter, feeling calmer, feeling much better than like you did when you walked into the class. I used to believe, like when I started yoga, people who said, oh yeah, you store issues in your tissues were just like weird hippies. And I used to scoff at those people. But when I started to really study this, when I started to like research it and look at the science behind like fascia and things like that, I was way more open to like exploring it in the asana. So if you're one of them and for so long you've just been like, people who say like emotions are stored in their hips are just like woo woo, just take some time to listen to me. I may not give you like, the perfect scientific explanation, but I'll try and distill down what I've been learning. And just a disclaimer before we begin, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, I don't have like a background in somatic therapy. I'm just a yoga teacher trying to help you understand how to kind of utilize the edge of the stretch better and know when to stop or when to like kind of go further. So let's talk about what fascia is, because I think fascia is the core thing that helps us understand what to do when we're in a shape. So fascia is kind of like this intricate web of connective tissue that is like a cling wrap that wraps around our muscles, our organs, and every single bone in our body. Now, around the time when I was studying about fascia, I also read this book called The Body's Keep Score. You should check it out. And I learned that the body is not this like static, tangible thing that doesn't change. It's constantly it's constantly changing. It's this living, dynamic system, and it's made up of about 80% water. So when we compress our bodies, or when we hold it in a certain position, or when we twist, or when we invert, or when we do all of these things, it's almost like the tissue, the fascia, either hydrates or it dehydrates. And this is the crucial thing that we need to pay attention to, because as our body goes through this process, it's said to release old energetic patterns that your mind is almost filed away. So something that maybe happened to you 10 years ago, it gets stored in the body as this imprint, this samskara, as the Sanskrit, the yogic philosophy would say. So the theory is, when you're moving into different shapes and you're assuming all these different positions, it's almost like the things that your conscious mind has filed away, it comes back, it floods your awareness as your body assumes that position of that old like energetic pattern being like, almost evoked to come up. And when these old imprints come up, a surge of emotion then floods your awareness. You don't know where it's coming from or how it has arisen. And it's not like it's a clear memory, It's not like, oh yeah, I was like treated in a certain way 10 years ago, and now when I'm in pigeon pose, that exact thing comes up because pigeon pose kind of releases it. It's not like that. It's just that these imprints, which aren't verbal, which aren't like, they aren't clear, they just come up to the surface as unprocessed things, as unprocessed imprints. And so when it comes up, we have a choice. We have a choice to either like shy away, stop stretching, and like create more of a vritti around it so that we don't do it again, or we see it as an opportunity to see that we can release it. So if you're experiencing like emotions and stretches, don't think that like it's wrong or it's bad. It's completely normal. It's just showing you that there's something to be released. And for a long time I never felt anything when I was doing asanas. I would just be like, oh yeah, I'm doing the shapes, I can stretch really well, nothing's happening, what are you talking about? But it's because I like successfully like buried it so deep down that I had to access new ranges of motion or shift my body into different shapes in order to access it. So those habitual ways of movement weren't helping the fascia kind of hydrate and dehydrate or whatever. So whatever I'm saying now, please do your own research, because I want you to kind of understand that bottom line is, if you know what to do at the edge of the stretch within each asana, you don't have to worry about what was the cause, what was the effect, because all of that stuff you can do in therapy. All I'm concerned with is, what can you do in a yoga class instead of being overwhelmed or pushing yourself too hard? What can you do tangibly to kind of stay in that safe zone and still work on releasing this tension? So what do we actually do at the edge of a stretch? At the edge of the stretch, you actually have two options when you notice this build up or this tightening or this clenching. Think of it like a landmine of tension. So you're kind of walking, you're like traveling, and then suddenly you notice, oh my gosh, there's a landmine. And you've got two choices. You can either push and like just ignore it and just keep walking or just keep moving. And this way, there's more tension that's added to the existing tension because you're not sure where this landmine of tension is. You're walking with all this anxiety. The second thing you can do is to slowly come and remove or like notice it and then create a pressure release, or to take that little dynamite and throw it somewhere else. Now, this pressure release, it's often you don't release because you don't feel safe to release. And that's the truth of it. You don't feel safe maybe in a group class where you don't know, what will happen if you start suddenly crying. So we clench harder, we tighten our breath, we get out of the pose really quickly, we eject ourselves from the experience. And so the key is actually to use your strength that you've developed through the asanas. And this is why this is actually really advanced, like high level stuff to be able to do. And that's why I always focus on developing grounding for people to help them feel this solid container before I even do any of this emotional work in the private sessions. Because if you don't create a steady structure, you won't allow the release to happen properly, because the whole structure is like going to collapse, right? So think of it like a volcano. A volcano can only erupt, it can only release that pressure because it's so steady. It's like a mountain that's been like solid and contained for so long that even if the eruption happens, it's still, the mountain doesn't crumble. The base of the mountain still stays steady. And this is what I want you to feel next time you're in a forward fold. Try and create that steadiness, that container for yourself before you expect yourself to like soften your breath or let go or find ease. Think of your thighs. Think of your thighs as like having sandbags on them and just being weighted into the ground. Think of your sit bones grounding. Think of your toes really taut and pulling in towards yourself. Create a steady container. And once you do this, then and only then can you allow your jaw to release, you can allow your shoulders to relax, you can allow your breath to flow in the shape. And that's what creates this pressure release of whatever is inside the landmine. You don't have to worry about exactly what happened and what's going to happen when you release it. Your job in the asana is just to create the conditions for release. And the conditions for release is actually like a 60% muscular engagement and a 40% breath softening. This is a principle I tell all my students, but the 60-40 principle is kind of just a good mental model. It's not exact. All I'm trying to say is 60% of your effort is focused on creating the container, and 40% of your effort is focused on allowing the release to happen. Because sometimes I notice it'll either be just a 100% engaging, tightening, doing the asana with full force, or completely zero effort and it's just passive stretching and the mind has already gone off to the next thing. So people who do that don't quite understand this principle, and also they haven't been taught, so don't blame yourself if this is the first time you're encountering this. This is just the principle that I developed for my students to understand what to do at the edge of a stretch. And the way that I see that they're not following this principle is that there's three main signs. The first one, and I want you to really remember these signs because then you can guide yourself back to the 60-40 principle. The first one is just notice what's happening in your face. So if your face is wincing or it's tightening or it's oh gosh, I don't want to do this, that's your first sign. So sign number one, notice what's happening on your face. If your face is expressing something that you're not able to quite understand through your whole body, notice your face and kind of relax your facial muscles and notice what's happening underneath that. The second signal is that you're disconnected from your breath. So this means that you can't maintain this steady, equal Samavritti breath, both inhale and exhale. And that's when your breath either stops, you're holding your breath, or it's just shallow and choppy and you're not quite focused on the breath anymore. So signal number one is watch your face. Signal number two is just your breath is disconnecting. And signal number three is that your body starts to tremble. And this isn't a tremble of oh yeah, I'm holding a pose, I'm getting stronger. This is I'm about to snap, get me out of the shape, I don't want to be here, what are you doing to me? And your body automatically jerks off. Now these three are signs that you shouldn't push through. You shouldn't do more, you shouldn't go further. So at the edge of the stretch, notice this and soften, come back into your comfort zone, don't push any harder. So I hope this was useful in just understanding how to utilize this pose to stay both actively engaged as well as find space and remain free and allow the breath to soften. You can't do one without the other, and unless you kind of gain the grounding of how to actively engage your muscles and do those foundational things, you won't be able to successfully release the stored tension. You might end up injuring yourself by pushing too hard or being overwhelmed by whatever is coming up. And I hope this was useful. And by the way, if you're struggling to understand how to apply this to every single asana, this is what I do for a living. I'm a yoga teacher, and this is what we do to help you kind of facilitate the release process in a safe and effective way. There's a link in the description below where you can set up a call with me. And on that call, I'm not going to give you a 21-day challenge or tell you to sign up for some free webinar. It's just a video of me telling you how I might be able to help you kind of solve your problem of always having these racing thoughts and not knowing what to do with them. And once you do that assessment call, we'll see if you're a good fit for the Yoga Mastery program. But if not also, and you don't want to buy anything from me, that's totally fine. I'm just glad that you're watching this video and that you're getting some value out of it. I'm also just looking forward to seeing you in more videos, because if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, please do that. We are a small channel. Then the algorithm will recommend more videos like this that will help you master your mind through yoga. And also it'll help us grow our channel. So send this to a friend if you can, and comment on any video requests you might have, any problems that you're facing in your asanas, so that I can make more videos. So be sure to do that. I am so thankful that you've been here all the way to the very end. Thank you for your kind attention and also just learning and being open to these kinds of ideas. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.